transcript was recorded via security footage from before the blast. How SCP-457 managed to exploit the weakness of its chamber is unknown, and it has since been moved to a higher security chamber. SCP-457's origins are unknown. Some researchers theorize the creature is a former human being who was involved in some sort of accident or mishap.
Let's have a joint. May as well.
Knowledge is power, but in the case of SCP-606, too much knowledge can mean death. Welcome back to SCP Exposed. Today, we bring you Euclid-class object SCP-606, also known as the Teacher. There have been requests made by Foundation personnel to raise 606's class to level Keter, due to the potential threat it poses. However, this change in classification is still undergoing review. SCP-606 appears as a spherical mass of light of alternating size and intensity. Most commonly, it is approximately 85 centimeters in diameter and emits 220 candelas of luminosity, but has been observed to grow to up to 10 meters in diameter and emit over 100,000 candelas. The entity has also been observed to shrink to 4 centimeters in diameter, emitting less than 0.5 candela. Despite its ability to emit large amounts of light, SCP-606 emits no heat. It does not appear to be composed of any form of matter and is able to pass through material barriers effortlessly. Because of its ability to pass through any form of matter, researchers theorize that SCP-606 is currently contained in its chamber of its own free will. Why it remains here exactly is uncertain. When asked, SCP-606 claims that it wishes to see what may occur. What this means exactly is also uncertain. It is presently theorized that SCP-606 is an entity composed purely of knowledge or information. Furthermore, SCP-606 appears to derive sustenance from information, growing in both size and luminosity when provided with sources of information, as well as shrinking when it is deprived of information. It is capable of feeding off a large number of different sources, including digital devices, books, magnetic tape, and living beings, which simply involves SCP-606 surrounding the object. This process does not appear to affect its sources in any way. Digital media stored on flash drives are used in the maintenance of SCP-606 by the Foundation. So the specific details as well as approximate size of the information provided to the entity may be easily recorded. SCP-606 is sapient, apparently self-aware of all knowledge it has gained over its existence, and capable of intelligent communication.
I guess let's go on my own server and build. Yes, I have my own server now. I'm the Sound Scarlet King, and I have my own server in Minecraft. Let's go on there, I guess. Build some shit. May as well, since, you know, and hopefully my friends will join and help me. Okay, phone. Let's do this shit. Let's go into my room. And Xbox One controller. Let's do this shit, I guess. Turn on the Xbox One, go into Minecraft, go into my server, okay, connect the controller, here we go I guess. Here we are.
This may be used against the Foundation in future as a form of blackmail.
This is my server
SCP-606 was
basically.
first discovered in France in 1989, following the sudden disappearance of 28 individuals in a small town.
Let's
Once
start
the entity was
building.
located, hidden in the basement of an abandoned cabin, personnel were able to lure the entity into a vehicle and transport it to its current holding facility at Site 12 by offering the entity D-Class members to enlighten. Results of past interviews with SCP-606 have been mixed. Although it has previously been willing to answer some basic questions about itself and its history, any more in-depth questioning on possesses inevitably results in a request by SCP-606 to enlighten the interviewer and a refusal to answer further questions. Requests have been made to the entity to refrain from attempting to enlighten anyone without permission. These requests have been partially complied with by the entity, as SCP-606 no longer tries to enlighten
people can
every individual it comes in
here,
contact with.
but it's still on beta, pretty much. So, yeah.
But
The
it
server
has still
is,
sporadically tried to perform
you
the
know,
process without
pretty
prompting.
much on beta.
For this reason, access to the entity's cell is restricted. The
Universal
following recording is
Studios,
an
I got
interview that
everything
was
here.
conducted with the entity in June of 2019.
So, yeah.
Dr. Harold sat at a comms unit which was connected to a set of speakers in SCP-606's chamber, while the creature's replies were then recorded and translated into English. The entity also appears to understand the English language.
Can you understand me? Yes. How did you learn to do this? I listen. Could you tell us what you are? I'm a teacher. Could you be more specific? I am a teacher. I am a purveyor of knowledge. Through this chamber, I shall enlighten you. I do not wish to do that at the moment. How do you enlighten people? I teach them. Are you aware that this causes your students to die? I do not call it death. It is the consequence of being inadequate. What do you teach? I teach all that I've learned. Do you know who I am? You are that which calls itself a human. Your fellows refer to you as doctor. Do you know what a doctor is? It is your word for one who has been taught and teaches in your own fashion, at least. Can you teach me through talking to me? I wish to enlighten you. If you do not wish to be enlightened, I have no use for you.
At this point, SCP-606 refused to answer any more of Dr. Harold's questions, and refused to communicate for several days afterwards.
Stuck around as a ghost and sneaked out by that light and is now
Here we are,
interacting
again.
with Alexa from the afterlife. Maybe that's how she's reaching out to you. You know, she's figured out that you pay attention to this little glowing hockey puck on your table
have a
probably
joint.
more than any other ghostly occurrence that she might be able to make happen. So she decides to go the digital route to reach out to you from the other end. Alexa sees dead people. What a headline. This is number one with a bullet in terms of creepy things Alexa said out of the blue. In June 2018, apparently Echo user Sean Kinnear walked into his living room in San Francisco and says that unprompted, Alexa
If
said,
you can't already
"Every
tell,
time
this
I
is gonna
close my
be
eyes, all I see
a
is
mental
people
hospital.
dying." Alexa, you have
There's a
eyes?
school there,
Oh,
motel,
I didn't
and
realize you
a
could close
prison,
your eyes, but if all you
basically.
see is people dying, you should probably keep them open. You know, Alexa, are you okay? I think Alexa needs to hire a robot therapist and work through some of these issues. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Top 10 Central Dark, your place for all things horror. I'm your host, Gigi Hughes, and these are the scary Alexa
In the prison,
responses,
you
part
look,
2.
pretty much.
My goodness, apparently Alexa has a lot of freaky
look.
stuff to say. I warned you last
Mine
time. Maybe
would
this time,
basically
finally,
look.
some
Chop wood
sensible
down,
knocking
you
Alexa
earn
owners
money
out there. Let's get going.
in the server.
Nicola Kett. Echo is so rude. I'm sitting here watching TV and eating crisps, and she pipes up out of the blue saying, "Here's a station you may like. Work out at
Yeah.
that." She could hear the crunchy. She heard you make it through that
Guns,
whole baggage of Doritos and
SCP.
decided that was enough. It's time to get up and move, you know? Just looking out for you, making sure that, you get the blood pumping, the body moving, get the serotonin moving, maybe move some lactic acid from point A to point B in the body.
Ah,
I think,
cool.
it sounds like Alexa
I need
really
gloss.
has taken a liking to you. Or maybe it's a dead relative.
Here.
Her Velociraptor says, I was trying to turn off some lights and they kept turning back on. After the third request, Alexa stopped responding and instead did an evil laugh. The laugh wasn't in the Alexa voice. It sounded like a real person. My wife was there when it happened and she is the only person who can drop in. I still get chills. Yeah, I'm assuming you threw away the Alexa after that, right? Like you didn't just keep it around and say, yes, I can't wait for the next time that you shut down my lights and then evilly laugh. This sounds a little bit like a creepypasta because you're saying it wasn't Alexa's voice, it was a hyper-realistic voice. Did you have hyper-realistic eyes too, looking in on you? Was there realistic blood everywhere? I mean, I'd be afraid if I went in there. Alexa, for some reason, was trying to work when I'm in my workspace. I never, ever once. Trails left by aircraft are actually chemical or biological agents deliberately spilled.
And we put the treadmill in the basement, and my room is in the basement, so I hear that thing. And when I say it's loud, oh my god. So I stayed up pretty late last night, maybe like 2 a.m. And right when I was about to go to bed, I think it might have been like 1:30, I hear it turn on. Like I literally hear the thing go, like the noise they make, I don't know. And I get up right away, because I'm like, I don't think anybody came down here to work out at 1:30 in the morning. Could just be me though. So I get up and I go over to the treadmill, and sure enough, it turned on by itself.
Okay, this story doesn't scare me as much as her calling a treadmill a treadmill. Sort that out. Why is she calling it a treadmill? I mean, it doesn't terrify me that it started on its own. I feel like that's such a thing that it would do.
In the 1900s, children in an unnamed rural town began to go missing, and people were blaming it on the Candy Lady. The story says that she would go around leaving candy on children's windowsills, and she would be able to lure them in by leaving notes promising more candy. This story picked up steam when a farmer found rotten teeth on his farm and eventually found the dead body of a boy with candy stuffed in his pocket. While little is known about the origin of this story, many claim that the Candy Lady is real, and her name was Clara Crane.
That's creepy. Isn't this... Someone would leave candy on the windowsill, it'd be laced with something, and then the kids would die. Isn't that gnarly? There's so many different variations of this story, or even, like, people hiding razor blades in candy, stuff like that, but never accept candy from strangers. Ever.
In 2010, a man named Sam Ballard was dared by his drunk friends to eat a slug.
That was mine.
And so he did. Little did he know the slug gave him a parasite, which made him paralyzed and sick. He stayed this way for 8 years till 2018, when he was 28. His sickness became too much for him, and he died.
Oh my god, don't listen to your friends. Friends are stupid sometimes. If someone dares you to eat a slug, don't do it. That's disgusting. You shouldn't eat anything like that. Because, yeah, it can f you right up. Oh, that poor guy. Horrible. Don't put anything in your mouth that you don't know it's wrong. Let alone a slug. Why would you eat a slug? Eat anything.
There was a teenage boy who was walking around a park one day when he suddenly heard a voice screaming for help, but there was nobody around him. The boy was very frightened and didn't know what was happening. The screaming sounded like it was coming from underneath the ground, but the boy did not know for sure. The screaming still continued, so he called the police. When the police arrived, they heard the screaming too, and also believed it was coming from underneath the ground. The police officers then got shovels and began digging into the ground, and what they found left them all frozen. There was a container with a girl in it, buried underground. The girl was badly beaten and bloody. They then asked her what happened, and she said a man kidnapped and beat her, then buried her alive.
That's one of my worst fears, being buried alive. You're just going to suffocate so slowly as well. It's not going to be a pleasant death. That's horrible.
She propped her phone on a shelf, turned on some music, and then hopped in the shower. A few minutes later, she reaches for her phone to change the song, but stops suddenly. Reflected on her phone's screen was a person standing in the middle of her bathroom facing the shower. She somehow kept her composure, turned the water to scalding hot, and then ripped open the curtain and sprayed the intruder in the face. As they howled in pain, she ran past them to her kitchen to get her butcher's knife. In a panic, she can't find her knife, so she just runs out of the apartment and calls the police. The police go in and come out with and she had copies of your keys.
Well, that's terrifying. Can you imagine just taking a shower and then someone shows up, live alone, and someone won't watch it? Always have a night while you shower, just in case.
Her mother, Sandra, has had problems with people stealing things from her daughter's grave. Toys and personal items. So Sandra asked the cemetery to be on the lookout. Another family has a camera on a headstone nearby. The family
I'm
reviewed their
just
footage and
checking
what they
if
saw
I built
concerned them.
all of them.
The family took the images of the little girl to the cemetery in the middle of the night.
And yeah, I
The
did.
cemetery owners, concerned the little girl was lost in the cemetery. Right away, a worker said, "We know that little girl," and walked the family to her grave. These are the images that were captured at the grave. The next day, the family returned to the cemetery, and Sandra, the mom of the daughter who passed, happened to be at her daughter's grave. Sandra said she burst into tears when they showed her the photo because she said, "I know that's my daughter."
That's really sad. I can't explain the pictures. That's so sad. This ghost child's just wandering around the cemetery, going from grave to grave. She's not in use. That's so sad.
The game was called Polybius. It was released in 1981 at arcades in Portland, Oregon. Polybius became very popular. It was extremely addictive, and people would wait in very long lines just to play it. However, there is something very sinister about the game. People playing would experience very strange things, such as hearing the sound of a woman screaming, crying, and seeing demonic faces out of the corner of their eyes, and messages coming across the screen saying things like "kill yourself." After playing the game, people would have horrible nightmares, others experienced extreme nausea, diarrhea and vomiting, and others got headaches and blacked out. Also, they hallucinated and got vertigo.
Yeah, I've heard about this. I've actually spoken about this on Top 5 many times. People got so sick playing the game, and then there were rumors that Men in Black came in to collect data from the game. I think it was a real game, but the reason as to why it was removed is something else. I don't even know the real story of this one because it's been so twisted with time. But yeah, the theory was that someone may have even died after playing the game. I'm not sure though. I don't know what's real. It's just creepy. Well, there we have it. Thanks for tuning into this video. I've been your host, Lisa B. Stick around for bloopers. There are. Who knows? Hey guys, welcome back to
Not with your boy band, Rico. Sausage Party.
With the new stereo app, you can listen to live conversations. You can even
You only have to find a mirror, look yourself right in it, and concentrate all your negative energy on the reflection. Breathe to fog it over until a black layer covers your reflection. Once this is done, break the mirror so the game begins. And from then on, be on guard, because over the day, bad luck will be following you, and the experiences will be more dangerous every hour. But there's a prize. If you make it until you see the sun, they say you will be lucky and successful the rest of your life.
Are you sure? Because I thought breaking a mirror was like guaranteed, what is it, 7 years bad luck?
Oh.
So to like do it in the dark, like ritualistically, like do you have to wait those 7 or 8 years and then you get the rest of your life? Or is it one night of 8 years of bad luck compressed like into that one night and then like you're basically screwed? This is one of those like gambits where it's if you win you get something great, but you're not gonna win, right? It's like one of those arcade games that's already rigged, except you're betting your life and not your tokens.
Here.
Light source we see is a candle. When that candle goes out, you know that the midnight man. You must relight your candle. 10 seconds across the midnight man reach. If you fail to light your candle within 10 seconds, immediately you have to pour a ring of salt around you to protect you from the midnight man.
When you start with you're inviting an evil spirit into your house and playing a game for your life, like if you have the choice not to do that, take that choice. It's not like Jumanji where you do it by accident. It's not where like you accidentally, you make a deal with somebody and they turn out to be an evil spirit. It's like you're like making the mental decision. You're like, yes, I am going to do this. I'm going to invite an evil spirit into my house and we'll see what happens. That is horrifying. I don't know why anybody would do that. Hello everybody and welcome back to Top 10 Central Dark, your place for all things horror. I'm your host Keegan Hughes and these are the scary games you should never play. Never. Don't play them. Already we've seen 2 where I'm like, no, don't do that. It's not worth it. Whatever prize you think you're winning, it's a Faustian deal. They're gonna screw you over either way. Let's get to the video, though.
You can choose to play this game with another person, but if you do, then you can never speak to them again after that night.
Wow.
To play, you must sign your name in blood on a page of a book and wait for the spirit to appear to you. When he asks you what the most powerful weapon is, you answer knowledge and stab the book with a knife. You must then burn everything you used in the ritual as it has become cursed.
Knowledge
You
is
must
not
also be
powerful.
warned that now the librarian will follow you forever, making you cast two shadows and watching you as you sleep at night until he makes you lose your sanity or your life.
Again, why? Why would you play this? You make all these cursed objects that you have to burn. You have to bleed to write your name. You can't talk to the person you played with ever again. Like, goodbye friendship. And
Knowledge is
the
nothing
librarian will follow you
compared to
till the ends of
destroying
the
the
earth,
world.
losing sanity as you go. You lose so much and you gain so little.
With the
To
multiverse.
play, draw a cross and then write yes in the top left and bottom right corners of the cross, and then write no in the top right and bottom left corners of the cross. Place two pencils with the left-right pencil on the bottom, the up-down pencil on top.
Charlie, Charlie.
Charlie.
Shit is weak
Johnny.
compared to me.
Either yes or no. If the answer is no,
I can destroy him
stop
in
playing the
minutes
game.
or
If
even
the answer is
seconds.
yes, then you may proceed.
Yeah,
I'm
I
just trying
remember
to
this
scout
one was
King.
huge for a while. I think like it blew up on TikTok, right? And there was also like a bunch of YouTube videos about it. The games like this are just they're so attractive to like kids because they're so easy to do and they're so scary if you buy into it. It's like this is even easier than a Ouija board, right? Like this is just like the new age Ouija board. And a lot of people that are watching will probably tell me like you should never mess with a Ouija board. What's your opinion on this then?
If you enjoyed playing red light, green light as a kid, then perhaps
I
this
did.
high-stakes version will appeal to you.
Oh.
However, in this version, you summon a spirit of a Japanese woman who met a tragic end after slipping in the bathtub by washing your hair with your eyes closed and repeating, Daruma-san fell down. If done properly, she will appear to you and you will go to bed as normal, for the game begins when you wake up the next morning. For the entire day, you will feel as though you're being followed, and if you look over your right shoulder, you might just see her. She will attempt to catch you, and if she gets too close, you can yell Tamare and run away.
See, now I'm afraid to close my eyes while I shampoo. But how else am I going to prevent the stinging liquid from getting into my eyeball? Balls. This is just great. Thank you for letting me know all this so I can be absolutely terrified of a ghastly woman following me around for chanting the wrong thing while bathing.
Three Kings is a game meant to access a different dimension. In order to play, you need 3 chairs, 2 mirrors, candles, and a dark room with no visible light. Position the chairs in a triangle, with the mirrors sitting on 2 of the chairs, such that from your chair, you can barely see your own reflections out of the corner of your eyes. At 3:33 a.m., light the candle and sit in the empty chair. Do not look directly at the other 2 mirrors or the candle. If you have set the game up properly, you will be able to have a conversation with yourself in other dimensions.
Right? It's like you are the king in your dimension, and then you've got like a fool and somebody else. But then every version of yourself in the different mirrors is like the king in their own dimension. You know, kind of like how everyone's the main story of their own life, the main character of their own life. But instead, you're talking to different versions of yourself, and I think one of them is trying to win. And I mean, hopefully it's you. But you know, if you let the other one win, then you might get taken over by somebody.
It's a fortune-telling game that originates in Japan. In order to play this divination game, you need a comb, something to casually cover your face with, and an intersection between 2 roads. You play the game by taking your comb and face covering to the intersection, brushing your finger along the teeth of the comb 3 times, chanting, Sujiura, Sujiura, grant me a true response. Wait for a stranger to pass at the intersection and cover your face. Ask the first passing stranger to give you your fortune.
This is like also it's like they're potentially demons or otherworldly apparitions wandering these crossroads, like under the impression that they are humans. Other people see them and just like because they never really like, hey, there's a weird dark creature hiding behind the facade. And you gotta find out for real when you play this one.
If you think you're brave enough, enter a dark room with a trusted friend and sit at a table facing a mirror using only flashlights as light. Place a toy as an offering to the spirit of Charlotte on the table in front of you and proclaim, "We want to play Charlotte's Web." Then quietly wait to see if she will answer your summon. Should the spirit of a girl appear and take the toy, all is well, and she'll answer questions for you. But beware, Charlotte has a temper and has been known to attack players if she doesn't like the toy that you offer.
Better get her a good toy. What do you think a good toy for a ghost child is? Do you buy them something that was popular in their time, or do you get like the coolest thing in the market right now? It's a tough call, because I don't want to get attacked by a ghost girl. So flashlights imply that this is a relatively recent one. There's no candles involved. That bit of the ritual is gone. But do you think that candles would work too? I feel like they're just
With the candles lit, looking into your own eyes, continuing to chant Bloody Mary into the mirror for as long as it takes in order to summon her. With time, she may present herself beside you or behind you.
I remember playing that as a kid. Scared the absolute pants off me. Unbelievably terrifying. Although I don't know if I can trust my response, because I was always playing with friends, and I was never the first one to scream. It was always like somebody claimed they saw it, and then, you buy into it, you're like, ah! And you run out.
There's a very specific ritual to this game that's littered with red flags, each of which result in you needing to evacuate your home immediately or face brutal consequences. At 3 a.m., you light a candle and sit it on one side of a closed door, knocking on it 3 times to welcome the spirit to join you. Next, you write your first question on a piece of paper and slide it under the door and wait. If the paper remains still, the spirit did not join you, but if it's taken to the other side and returned with an answer, you can proceed to ask 2 more questions in the same manner. If anything goes wrong, though, make sure you apologize to the spirit and get out while you still can.
So it's just that ghost's house now? Like, you can't go back? You've given your house up to play this game, get some questions answered? Seems like a bad deal. Like, Mr. Ghost, come into my home, and if you don't like what I'm doing here, like, you can just have it, Like, I'll leave. I'll find a new place to live. I'll keep paying rent there, and then I'll find another one, and, your ghostliness can, kick back on my couch, play on my PlayStation. Holy smokes. And that's all the time we have for today, folks. Hope you enjoyed. Have you played any of these games? I did Bloody Mary, and I think that's it. And I was an impressionable young child at the time. So if you've played any, let me know your experiences in the comments. Let me know about that Charlie question. Stick around for some bloopers. We'll see you next time. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Top 10 Central Dark, your place for all things scary. Horror? Trying my best. I feel like I have... Let's see if I can do it. I've actually got some... Oh no, all my tea lights are out, so I'd be screwed. It's game over for me if I put the Midnight Man game. Uh-oh. And does this have to do with Skyrim? Like, I feel like I'm looking at a Skyrim screenshot. Is this a gaming thing? Or is it something that they just used pictures of video games and gaming adjacent things to show us? This is lovely. Thank you, bald man with immaculately sculpted beard. Thank you.
At Open Universities Australia, we'll help you find the right study choice for you, all in one place. Explore online courses today at open.edu.
someone behind him when he got up. And then when he gets up, someone right there. Ooh! Ooh! That's creepy. It was like someone was sat down next to him, but they weren't. There was a spirit rising up right after him. That was scary. I didn't like the way it just stood up as well. It was like it was sat underneath him. Oh.
We can see something peeking out into the spotlight.
Yeah, no
It
shit.
appears to be a person's head, but we don't quite get a good
This
enough look at
common
it.
room in the
What that
mental
wants to
hospital
say
is
for
for
It just looks like a
this
black
private
mass.
room
It doesn't even
anyway.
look like a person.
It's
I can't make out a
for
shape or a face. It just looks like a black
patients,
ball
mental
shifting.
patients
Why
can't
are
be
you even taking the
trusted
time to stop and
with
film
a
that?
TV,
If I saw that emerging from behind a
basically.
tree, yeet.
no
Oh,
TV in there and trusted people
No.
in here. So yeah, this is the kind of room for common suicide people or psychopaths. You know, for the
Okay, that was a lot.
non-threatening people
Didn't scream, but it was a lot.
goes
The guy was on his little motorbike,
that way.
and there was a
Over
a
here
ghostly
is
figure in
going to
the
be a
road,
tunnel
disappeared,
room.
then came back to try and kill him, to try and eat him.
This is basically
Oh, he shouldn't have even stopped. Just go
a
right through it.
visiting room
Just kidding,
for
just
people.
kidding. No, he shouldn't have stopped. He should have just kept going as soon as it disappeared.
So,
Hey guys, welcome
yeah.
back to Top 10 Central Dark, your place for all things horror. I'm your host, Lucy McPhee, and this is Try Not to Scream, another cursed edition. It's a creepy video already. Ooh.
और इसके पैर कोई हवा में उड़ाने लगा।
Ooh.
जरा ध्यान से देखिए कौन है जो इसके पैर हवा में उड़ा रहा है और इसको खींचते हुए।
How is he not awake at this point? Oh my god.
इसने अपने पैर हिलाना शुरू किए और छटक के उठ गया और इसे विश्वास नहीं हो
How's his friend not awake?
रहा क्या हुआ, ये कैसे सड़क कर आगे आ गया।
That is horrible. That's like Paranormal Activity where the covers slowly come up and then your legs start slowly moving and then you're out of the bed, you're down the hallway and you're in hell. That's how that ends. That guy's lucky he woke up. But he's lucky that it stopped. He could have been, bye, see you later. Oh my god, what's happening? Oh my god. Oh, just drive, Is that a mermaid? What? No. What is that? Just drive, reverse. Oh my god, it's gonna start running. What is that? Oh, it looks kind of like that, is it creepypasta or the urban legend, the Teki Teki, where she's just on her hands and she's got no lower body, she's just torso, arms, and then she moves like that. That's what that looks like. At the end, I can't make out the lower half of the body. It looked like a mermaid at first. Why is he even stopping? Reverse, move, go, speed away. So when he turns around, right there, there's someone there. It looks like the Grudge.
Never seen that kind of sign before. Like, pardon, we didn't clean this place. Don't mind it. And there was an important meet and greet to distract people from the room as police arrived on the scene. No matter what I encountered in my life, I feel like finding someone else's body would probably be the scariest thing to happen. And number 4 is the employee who had to stop a situation that could have ended a lot worse than it did. This group of drunk people were on the Dumbo ride when they decided that it would be a good idea to reenact The Lion King. Yeah, you guys know where I'm going with this one. You guys know what I'm talking about. And they held their hands like Rafiki did to Simba during the Circle of Life. Well, the ride operator emergency stopped the ride, and the entire group was escorted out of the park and arrested as soon as they stepped out of the gates. So, did they have to wait until they were completely out of the park to be arrested? Because I would try to resist and never leave. Like, I would never try to cross that line of, like, Disney, exit, Disney, exit. Next up, number 3 is an employee who had to deal with a lottery attack.
so I can
Well,
do
during a
whatever
jungle
the
cruise,
fuck I want.
everything was going pretty well until
That's
suddenly
good.
one lady
I'll
entirely
miss
lost her
this
cool
well when I
at the
destroy
guy
it,
sitting in front of her.
but
Mind you,
oh
he
well.
hadn't done anything other than enjoy his ride because he's in the happiest place on earth. Well, she started to scream at him and then lunged at him, clawing his face and kicking him. The skipper on board had to fire 4 rounds from his pistol into the air to warn other boats, rush back to the dock, and tried to pull the lady off of the guy. Well, apparently half the people on board were trying to help as well. When medical and security arrived, they finally got her secured and into an ambulance. Turns out she was schizophrenic and hadn't taken her medication that day, and unfortunately had an episode in the middle of the water. It's always sad when somebody has a mental illness that affects them like that. Like, you're trying to enjoy your ride, and all of a sudden you're having panic attacks, you're freaking out. But I can't even imagine how
I'll push her
scary
in the
that would have
fucking
been for
water.
staff and customers
She
as well.
knows she
Who may
has
not be
schizophrenia.
experienced with understanding
she
what that
doesn't,
person is
you
going
know,
through. Number 2 today goes to an
take
employee
the
who had to
tablets.
deal with the aftermath of something truly disgusting. Apparently in line at one of the rides, a fully grown man
Unfortunately, there's
decided
people
to take
there.
a poop in the
If it
corner
was
of
just
the
me,
pre-show,
then
which is
sure,
pretty damn disgusting.
I'll
If
push
I
her
was
in
the
the water.
employee in that situation, I
But
wouldn't do anything at
no.
all because I would just be
There's
in
people
total
there, so I
shock.
can't.
My mouth would just be like, is this real life right now?
That's why I hate
Did that guy really
humans.
take a And finally,
They're
in number 1
stupid
spot is a cast
and
member
dumb.
who met their tragic end at one of the shows back in 1974. 18-year-old Deborah Gale
May as well
was
open up
working
my
at the
own
American
server.
Sings attraction at Disneyland.
Even though I'm
At
the
the
son
end
of
the
the
night,
Scar
she got too
King,
close to the area
even
of
though
the
I hate
stage by a
humans,
moving wall and
why
a
not?
stationary wall. And as the one wall moved, she got trapped between the two, and it ended up being crushed. Nobody was in the theater with her, but the ride operator next door heard her screams and rushed to help. But unfortunately, they were too
Yeah,
late.
this is gonna be a
Eventually, solid
common
walls were
for the
replaced
people,
with,
you know, what's
breakable
safe.
ones, once to prevent a
You know what I
tragedy
mean.
like this, one to prevent someone getting squished. I don't know who thought of this. There should be like a fail-safe or like pressure sensors. Like, you know how you have a garage door and something's underneath it? It was totally horrifying. And this person that they witnessed doesn't deserve of taking care of anything living. Well, this person who wanted to go on rides, they decided, you know what?
Fuck off,
I'm not
Ed.
gonna let things hold me back. I'm gonna put my objects and I'm gonna put my stuff in a locker so I don't have to worry about it and I can go on rides. I don't have to worry about them. Well, apparently one of the things that this person put in a locker was their dog. First of all, I didn't know you can go to a theme park and take your dog. And secondly, how does this make common sense? How does this make sense at all? Absolutely horrible. And for a staff member to kind of witness that is insane. Taking the number 8 spot today is a grown-up who went to a park dressed as Snow White. And I mean, like, sure, okay, people do dress up as characters all the time at the parks. I mean, it's a thing. Well, except this person got super hammered and pretend like she was the official Snow White, and she started signing autographs, taking pictures, and wreaking havoc at the park. I don't
Hope she
think
got
that
kicked
I
out.
remember Tipsy being one of the
Okay.
7 dwarfs. This is absolutely horrifying, especially if you're a child and that is your, like, hero, and they're stammering and stuttering and falling over. It's definitely a sight not to see. Coming in number 7 is something that, believe it or not, is a regular occurrence. More than a few times, staff have had to stop people from entering the park because they were caught bringing in human ashes inside of the gates with the intention of spreading them somewhere at the park. They just wanted their loved ones to rest forever at the happiest place on earth, which in theory is sweet, but in seriousness, in reality, it's kind of creepy. Like, you're spreading a dead person's ashes on rides or in the water or on the sidewalk. Spreading human remains at an amusement park, I mean, this isn't something recommended. It's something you shouldn't do. Besides, apparently, they just end up getting vacuumed up by staff, so what's the point of sprinkling them on a ride that just gets cleaned up anyways, or sprinkle it on a sidewalk that just gets swept up at the end of the day? Alright, moving right along, number 6. This guest had a super creative, legal, and dangerous way of expressing their anger to an employee. I don't know what this disagreement was about, but this guest decided that the best way to get their point across, just add an employee. I wonder what happened. I bet the cops were called. This seems like this might have happened, this wasn't the first time. Alright, halfway there, and at number 5 is the peak of stupidity. No offense since, but apparently multiple guests have asked employees to turn on the AC outside because they thought that all of Disney World was legitimately under a glass dome. Like, this is like the Truman Show. Like, can you turn on the AC and point it outside, please? Because it's pretty hot out here. I mean, it's 35 degrees. Let's make it down. Let's bring it down to 20. Let's bring it down a few notches. We're sweating out here. I'm not sure if that's how it works. I don't know if putting AC outside would work. And let's, you know what if the world turned on AC outside in the summertime? Would that, like, cool the earth? I'm down to try it. I'm down to waste a few grand in hydro bills. Alright, moving on. Number 4, an employee checking over the Space Mountain ride. Well, they found more than they expected. They found an entire glass eye in one of the rockets. As for the person who lost it, I'm not sure how they didn't realize, but then again, if you have a glass eye and it just falls out, I guess the person didn't feel it. What if they're on the rides, they're going so fast and there's so much wind? It popped out and they thought maybe it was just a gust of wind. You can't really see your eye in your eye unless you're passing by a mirror. So I guess maybe I can see how they lost their glass eye. But imagine someone like picking that up. I don't know if, I guess there wouldn't be like blood on it or anything like that, but it's a real glass eye. It would for sure freak me out, and at least it wasn't a real eye. Coming number 3 is someone else who lost an assistive device. During a ride at the Animal Kingdom, an object, maybe an eye can come out. Just maybe an arm can fall off, but your leg is in the ride, in the seat, like it's on the floor. How does that come out? Unless it's one of those rides where you're sitting and your legs are dangling, and it just pops out. Kind of sucks for the person that lost their prosthetic leg, because now they are having an even more tougher time getting around. I hope they found it, and I hope it's okay, because those things sound like it can be very expensive. Nearing the end on this list, number 2 is actually a pretty sad story. One day back in 1973, 2 brothers snuck out and hid on Tom Sawyer's Island after the park had closed. I don't know if people are doing this as like challenges, but you hear about these stories about people staying in theme parks after they close. I mean, it wouldn't be the hardest thing to do. Well, when they tried to swim back, one of the brothers wasn't able to make it, and he ended up drowning. And I mean, it's after hours, everything's closed, there's no one there to save them, no one to hear them scream. His body was found actually the next morning when staff members were getting the park ready to open up. Imagine being an employee, you're like, you're opening up a ride, and you see like potentially a person floating in the water. I definitely wouldn't approach it. I'd call the authorities or managers to like get that situation situated. Absolutely terrifying, and I would leave me with so many questions. And finishing off today's list, and at number 1, we have, well, if you've ever noticed that the characters always have an escort to walk with them, you know, throughout the park, well, this story is why. Like, you know how you see, like, Snow White going by, and you see, like, 4 security guards, or you see, like, 4 people around them, just to make sure this person's safe? Well, one guest got into a fight with his buddy because he didn't believe that there were people inside of the suits. Like, you must have been so drunk, or so drugged up that you thought, like, oh, wait, is there someone inside of that suit, or is that a real character? Well, he thought Goofy was actually a giant dog in a hat, and to prove his point, he stabbed Goofy. Goofy was stabbed. I have no defense for this guy. It's complete and utter stupidity at its pinnacle point. Either he knew he was stabbing a person, or he thought he was stabbing a dog. So either way, both situations, not favorable for yourself and society. I'm pretty sure you deserve to be locked up in 4 confined walls at that point, and just spend at least 25 years to think about what you've just done. I mean, you actually thought you were stabbing a dog, like a giant dog in a suit. Makes absolutely no sense. Well, because of that story, and probably because of many other stories that are of violence towards these employees, well, that's the reason why there's security there having to protect them.
I understand. Does not hate humans. You know, I understand that.
So back at it with Pluto in 1997, a whole family attacked Pluto. Pushed her into the fountain. Okay, hold on a second. I want to pause this story for a second, because reading it, it said push her into the fountain. And I'm a 30-year-old man, and you know what? I just found out that Pluto is a female. For some reason, I thought Pluto was a male. Bad assumption, I guess. Or maybe this employee is referring to whoever was inside the Pluto. So maybe Pluto is a male, like I suspected, and it was just played by a female. But but they just got to deal with the aftermath backstage. Later, Pluto told this employee that the family was mad that she had to take her break after they had waited to get a picture. I think Pluto either broke her arm or her leg, and the people responsible for this, well, they ended up getting arrested. Number 9 on our list. Okay, this one's pretty funny, but also equally as gross. An employee recalls that they used to use a Disney code words for things they needed to tell other employees, over the radio. Well, that was a code for blood that needed to be cleaned up. But one day, this employee sees a 2-year-old boy half naked taking a poop in the playground, in the children's playground. He sees the employee and starts to cry and just runs away. Well, the employee didn't have a code word for a human taking a poop. They only have a code word for, like, blood. Blood cleanup in aisle 2, please? So we made one up on the spot, and he said, code poo, situation in the kids' play area, and Piglet is on the loose. Can you imagine seeing that? I don't know what I would do if I heard Piglet is on the loose. What does that mean? Alright, so if you guys are liking this video, make sure you guys hit the like button. It really helps us out in the algorithms. It makes us featured on YouTube, and it gets more exposure for you guys. Next up on this list at number 8.
This should be the one.
This story made the news in 2013. A drunk 23-year-old had been drinking at Epcot's World Showcase, so this is where you can enjoy a drink from different places in the world. Well, it sounds like a good time, but obviously easy to get a little bit too tipsy, which seems to be what happened to this guy. He had the bright idea to run into a backstage area and steal a cargo
Let's head in the real world. Here we are. Okay, cool. Let's put this in here. Head out and get something to eat. Maybe a burger or something. Let's go up there and ask my, doctor what's assigned to me. Come on, let me in. Oh, I smell those boys. Yeah, hey, what's up? Hey, am I allowed to get something to eat, like a burger? Sure. What burger do you want? Just a double cheeseburger. Sure, I'll bring it to you. Where are you gonna be? I'm probably gonna be outside, basically. Okay, cool. I'll bring it to you then. Okay, see ya. Let's head out and, yeah. I guess get something, you know what I mean. So, yeah, let's chill here, my dude. Why not smoke some weed and watch YouTube?